Welcome back everyone. Thanks for tuning in to my latest review, and today I have the NECA Elder Predator version 2 from the movie Predator 2. Now this is from the latest wave of the Predator line, which includes the Enforcer, the Bad Blood, which is the exclusive of the line, as well as the Viper Predator, which comes with his new Viper ship, which, it is pretty expensive and I'm not too keen on the other two Predators as well. But I have Bad Blood coming in, and I just saw this at Toys R Us yesterday and picked it up. And let's get right into the review. So first you can see at the bottom, you can see the Elder Predator. It seems to be the actual movie shot or movie still of him. Doesn't seem like the actual figure, but either way, the likeness is right there. NECA always does a great job with the likeness of the Predators. Not that, it's too hard to distinguish a lot of the Predator faces, but they do a really good job at capturing the detail and the colors in the figures. Also at the bottom you can see that it has the Predator 2 logo, as well as new additional articulation, which includes the flintlock, pistol, and the sword. And if those of you that don't know, there was a version 1, which I also have, and I'll be doing the comparison with the actual figures. The packaging, not too big of a deal, but I do really like the packaging. It's just a more darker, detailed look to it, giving it that very ancient style look to it. And flipping to the back, not too much description as we usually see in the Predator packaging, I guess, on the back. Just a simple few sentences right there if you want to pause that to read it. And also it has the aliases, or the separate names that Elder goes by, which include Golden Angel and Greyback, and the weapons at the right side, which have the 18th century flintlock pistol and cutlass. And as you can see at the top, there's the Elder Predator figure, taking up most of the top half of the package. And at the bottom half, showing what else is also available, as I mentioned, the Viper to the left, the Enforcer in the middle, and an Elder version 2 on the right. So pretty simple packaging, not much going on as opposed to other Predator figures. They usually have more descriptions to them. But without further ado, let's open up Elder and check out the figure inside. Alrighty, we have opened up Elder from his package, and let's take a closer look at this figure. So right away, without doing a comparison yet in the video, he is a lot darker than the original Elder Predator, and a lot darker than some of the other Predators from the older lines as well. It kind of gives it the more artificial look to it, but a few things do look, very well done. Coming up to the head area, let me get a closer look over there. You can see the gold and the jewelry and everything is a lot more vibrant throughout his head. Right here, going through the threading or the dreads, just very, just a very bright, not very neon, just, very more gold and orange look. It's a little bit hard to see on camera, but in person it has a more gold look than the yellow. In the camera it might look up more yellow than it should, but that's a very good aspect that NECA was able to accomplish with this new Elder version. And even in the head, you can see a little bit more white and more detail throughout his head and the face. A little bit harder to see the eyes in here because it is so much darker, but if we can get a closer look right there. There we go, we can capture it. And then the teeth do look a little bit more dirty and, like he has been in a little bit more action than the original Predator. And then giving an overall look at the body, you can see he does include the necklaces with all the skulls. He has a longer one that kind of goes down past his waist with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 skulls hanging on that one. And then up here he has a smaller one. Oh, there goes his hand. A smaller one with just one skull. And you can see the holster for a sword. There isn't really a holster for the pistol, the same thing with the original one. So you just kind of tuck it into his belt wherever it can fit. He comes with this pouch on this side, very good detail on here. Getting a closer look at the forearms here, there's the wrist gauntlet right there. And of course the pipes and tubes that a lot of the Predators do come with. The armor is also very much more, I guess, not really battle damage, but more wear and tear and more age looking. So it does look more darker, more scruffed up and, you know, like he has been in some more fights in his day. And then, as I said, the hand did come out. I tried changing the hands. It seems like this peg is sticking in too much, or maybe when I tried pushing the hand in, it, you know, got pushed in a little bit. So it is a little bit hard. Do be careful with that because we don't want to break the wrist blades on that side. And then, as you can see too, the wrist blades do come out as usual. And then the wrist gauntlet on that side as well. Now coming to the back, he comes with the shoulder cannon also. That's one thing I really did notice right off the bat. The caster, the cannon itself is very loose. As you can see, it just kind of drops over to the side. It doesn't seem like it's broken. It just seems like the joint, for whatever reason, is pretty loose. So if you can just try to get it to stay in one position right there, so you don't have to worry about it breaking off. Coming back to the front, you know, his usual padding on the thighs and the calves down here. And then the feet. I also did notice the feet, they changed. Before they had kind of like a little platform under the feet to help him, I guess, balance, but that's no longer there. It's just the bare feet, but he does come with the peg holes. So if you have the NECA stands, you can use that to allow him to stand. Now the only other accessory that he really comes with besides the pistol and the sword is the extra hand for him to actually hold the pistol. Now the first one did not come with this hand, so it's nice to have him being able to hold both weapons. If I can get a closer look on that. There we go. Oh. This hand just does not want to stay in any position right there. So as you can see, you know, he does have kind of like the trigger finger up there to hold the pistol in hand. And then getting a closer look at the weapons itself. Let me get this sword out of his hand. Here we go. So you can see the leather wrapping around the handle, and then a few buff marks and, you know, clashes on the sword. And you can kind of see the lighter silver going down on the edge, and just a darker gray metallic on the base of the blade. And now getting a closer look at the pistol. They did a fantastic job on this. You know, it really looks authentic and just like a replica of a flintlock. You can see the wood and the old, kind of, I guess, the old copper, the old metallic looks on there. So that's pretty nice. I'll try to zoom in as much as I can on that. There we go. Alrighty, so let's get back into the actual figure. Let's take a quick look at the articulation. I know it said that there is more articulation on this figure, but to me it actually seems like there's less. Oh, and there he goes again. So do be careful, you know, he is a little bit hard to balance. It's kind of mixed between the limbs and different points of articulation. Some are a little bit tight, some are a little bit loose. I guess it depends on the figure. I guess NECA's quality control wasn't too high on that. Let me try to get that hand to stay as much as I can. So going into it, you know, the head, because of the cannon, is a little bit limited, but taking the cannon off, which I'll get a closer look at that, you know, he has very good rotation on the head and slightly up and down. The waist, you know, very good twist right there. At the shoulder, up and down. Slightly in and out. The elbow as well. There's also twist at the elbow, and then, you know, the normal wrist. I'll check on this wrist. The normal wrist. The elbow again. At the upper thigh, does come back and forth. It seems like they're a little bit more connected than before. I never really noticed on other figures, but it could just be maybe the connector or the joint in between. It seems also at the knee there is a double joint, but the top joint is just very tight. You know, I don't want to break it, I don't want to snap anything, so I don't want to play around too much. But you can see in there's the joint at the top as well. And then the feet do twist and, you know, just slightly kind of bend in and out or up and down. And then it does not seem like there's any articulation at, you know, the halfway point of the thighs or the legs. because usually they're pretty easy to twist, as well as at the knees or the calf, but doesn't seem like we can do that here. I don't know if mine is just very stiff. I don't, like I said, I don't want to break anything or snap anything. So, I don't know if there's more articulation or just, more articulation in the points that they had before. So let's take a little bit of a closer look at the plasma cannon. There we go. So as the whole figure is, it's a little bit darker than before. The front, back, twisting any way. You can really have it resting in any position you want. And as always, NECA really captures the great detail in all the accessories. So there we go. So now let's bring in the Elder version 1. Let me get them set up right here. Oh. So as you can tell, the new Elder actually has a little bit more trouble balancing than the older one. He does seem a little bit taller as well. I don't know if they improved on the scale or they just decided to make him a little bit taller. But to me, the first Elder actually looks more, I guess, natural in his skin tone. It seems like they made the new one more artificial looking. I can't quite recall the movie or the Predator from the movie. I haven't seen it in a while. I should have brushed up on my memory for that. But the first one to me looks a little bit more natural. But then as far as the size, it's really just a height difference in the newer one, the version 2, that's slightly taller. And getting a close-up on the face. Let me get them into position right there. So I'll try to go back and forth with them. As I said, it's a little bit darker on the new one. And then as you can tell in the teeth and the mouth, it seems like he's, been eating a little bit more, hasn't brushed his teeth very well, but he's a lot cleaner in the original Elder, and got little stickies to make him stand a little bit better on there too. Okay, there we go, trying to get the best position so we can compare them both. There we go. And I also have a photo gallery for these, so if it's a little bit hard to capture the differences in the video, then you can compare the pictures as well. I'll have some side-by-side comparisons with them. Going down to the necklaces. The necklaces do seem the same, not too much difference in there. Just again the darker threads and the darker skulls. I did notice on the version 1, he does come with this skull and a little bit different holster design for the sword, as opposed to the new one where they just have the skull on the sword holder, and the actual holster for the sword is a little bit different as well. Let me get that pan down. So you can see there are a lot of differences. I'm not sure if they reused the Elder 2 sword holster, so I'm not sure whether they created a new one or just pulled it off another Predator. But as you can see, there are some differences there. And then turning it around to the other side. He did come with the pouch as well on the first one, but the new one does have a little bit more detail to it. Kind of, I guess, the bones or the rib cage that he put on the new one, and you can tell it's a little bit bigger than the older one. And just panning down to the feet. The feet are a little bit different as well. Oh, there goes the camera. Sorry about that. On the older one, the feet do look like he's wearing some sort of sandals, as opposed to the new one where they are just the bare feet. And a little bit lighter brown on the belt and whatnot as well. And you can see in the new head, you can really tell the difference with the jewelry and the threads. It doesn't even seem like he has any on the older one. They are there, they're just very rusty and copper looking on his head. Get a better look. So there's a better look at the newer head. And then just panning around on this side as well. The head sculpt is the same, just as I said, just the new paint, the repaint to it. And then the wrist blades seem the same as well, just pulling those out. And so there we have it. The Elder version 2 and now compared with the Elder version 1. Overall, I guess I'd say I do like the original Elder. Just a quick shout out, thank you Justin for sending me this a long time ago. I know we did a few trades, and best wishes to Zoe as well. You know, hope she gets better soon, and I know her condition has been getting better. But thank you also for sending this to me a few months back. And then, you know, I do like the original Predator, or the original Elder Predator more. But the first one, or the new one I should say, kind of makes it look like it's a bad brother, or, you know, just some kind of dispute going on. So it's a good storyline to add to anyone's collection. Maybe, you know, just watch out for the quality control. I've heard some people saying they'll pick it up in the package and see a lot of the jewelry, like here on the teeth, or the, I'm blanking on the name, but you know, I guess the lip ring is broken off, or the sword is broken. Mine, everything was intact, nothing was damaged. Other than, you know, the few limbs being a little bit loose or a little bit too tight, so you know, don't want to break it on my own. But there we have it, folks. So good luck in your hunting, happy collecting, and thanks for watching, and stay tuned for my next video.